Hello, class. This is Mr. Stratton again. I just wanted to talk with you a little bit about the importance of revision. We've now moved on from writing the draft, we've moved on from organizing the draft, and now you have a written draft. It may not be great, it's pretty much just all the thoughts that were in your head poured down onto the page. But what you're going to do now is you're going to revise that. You're going to reapproach it, you're going to reshape it, you're going to ask yourself questions like, did I actually take the right approach here? You're going to ask yourself who this audience is, and if there's anything else I can do for my audience to make them understand the information better. Revision is incredibly important because most of the time the best writing comes from revision. There's a great quote that says, most writers are revisers. Because I said that your rough draft is just your thoughts poured down on the page, don't expect that to be the final product. It's not going to be as coherent at that point because we don't necessarily think coherently. This is going to be your opportunity to shape the information that you created into a palatable message. You're going to be working on revision, or excuse me, you're going to be working on transitions during this chapter. You're going to be working on coherency. So you're going to be looking at making sure that every paragraph that you write has one distinct topic in it, and that topic is introduced with a topic sentence. I mentioned transitions. You also want to make sure that as you move from topic to topic, there's a kind of bridge between what you previously addressed and what you're about to address currently. Another thing that I want you to be thinking about with revision is new approaches to the introduction and new approaches to the conclusion. Depending on what your purpose is, which again, as you revise, it gives you another opportunity to figure out what you're really trying to accomplish. You ask yourself, am I trying to inform? Am I trying to persuade? Am I trying to generate goodwill? Should I do all those things? The answers to those questions will guide your revision, and they'll guide the introduction paragraph that you write, and also the conclusion paragraph that you write. Other aspects of revision that you're going to learn about in the textbook is that you're going to make sure that you have all the information possible, and that's an issue of scope. For every audience that you write to, there's a certain amount of things that they already know and don't need to know, but there's also things that they do need to know. So scope is as asking yourself if you're telling them information that they already know, or if you're teaching them something that they don't know. So that's scope when it comes to revising. Um, Organizing your paper, right? Introducing your purpose at the very beginning. Most professional writing asks you to express the purpose in the very first couple of sentences, and even express the organization in the first couple of sentences, especially when it comes to like a memo. Your memo is going to say something like, this memo is going to address topic one, topic two, and topic three. You have to make sure that every paragraph that you write from that point on relates to that same order of topics that you introduce. So that's your organization. Thinking about the central idea of each paragraph, I mentioned that. Transitions, I mentioned. Active voice versus passive voice. So when you step back and you actually look at your draft, it's going to give you an opportunity to focus just on the structure of the sentences rather than just getting the content of the information down. And when you look at the structure of your sentences, make sure that your voice is active. So an example of active voice would be something like using strong verbs, whereas passive voice is going to be indicating kind of to be verbs, which is like was and is and am, right? So let me give you an example. So like passive voice would be the computer is going to be used for my homework. Okay, you see how the to be verb is in there, is the computer is going to be used for my homework. Whereas with the active voice, I'm going to reappropriate the subject of that sentence at the beginning of the sentence. So who's doing it? Who's using the computer for the homework? And then I'm going to use a stronger verb besides is to express what's going to be done. So instead of saying something like the computer is going to be used for homework, you might say something like I'm using my computer for homework. So you see how the subject is there. So that's a construction you want to look at and make sure that your sentences all have that in it. Thinking about parallel structure, we'll talk about that in more detail later. The point of view, remember there's that point of view approach called view attitude, where yes, you're writing your paper because you're trying to accomplish something, but that paper needs to be written from the perspective of your audience. So in the example of the assignment that you were given for the noisy substation, your audience is a complaining customer. And so as much as you want to say like, screw yourself, I don't want to deal with it, you have to think about what's making this person upset. What is this person's values, and how can I shape my writing to express that I have the same values that the person has? And revision gives you a good opportunity to refocus that perspective. So those are just a couple of previews about what we're going to be addressing for revision. Please read all of chapter 4. Please see the other lectures. And then what you're going to be doing for the main assignment for this topic is to actually revise your noisy substation letter using a checklist. And that checklist will be located on page 126, but I'm also going to be providing the checklist electronically on D2L. So your assignment is to complete that checklist and then to revise your noisy substation letter. Good luck.